Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers will practically build themselves.
Well, folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Welcome to the Kit Hoarder Stash. And I have a hoarded kit here for sure. This is a good old kit. It hasn't been in production for a very long time. And it's actually been one that I never actually owned, but I always wanted to. And here it is. It's the old AMT Ertl from the early 90s. KC-135R model. Strato tanker. So back in the days when this came out, this was your frontline tanker because it had the larger engines, and that's what they used on the front lines. The National Guard tankers had the E model, which had a little bit different engine. Now they've been upgraded as well, but I actually built an airframe and used some engines from a different kit to make an R model at one point in time. But you'll see there's some other things on this that are unique to the R model aircraft. So without further ado, the good old Shamu scheme as they call it, which is exactly how I'm going to paint this one. A little bit of details on it. And this came out in 1995. The other tankers made it to the scene a little bit earlier than that. Did I say 2000s earlier? I don't know. I know it came out in the 90s, so if I said something else, I'm nuts. Well, I am nuts anyway. But let's see what's in this bag, shall we? So it's still in the plastic. Here is one issue that you're going to find with these kits is the way that they're on a sprue here. You got to be very careful cutting these off. Most of your sprue nippers aren't going to do a great job on that. So it's something, if you can saw them, that's even better. But be careful with the bending and breaking, because then you're definitely going to have some filling to do. So here is, let's see. Here's one of the changes in the KC-135R model is you've got this area here, and you can't really see it, but it's scribed in for the APU exhaust, which is nice. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as all of the other KC-135 kits, except for the engines. So you got this wonderful piece here that usually does not mate up very well to the wings. Oh boy. Here's your tail planes. They're usually not too bad. There's your refueling lights, the top of the wing, the fin, and your refueling boom. Part of your refueling boom. And the place for the refueler to put his butt so he can refuel everybody. Oh my goodness. The wing spar, your APU, landing gear. I'm going to do a video, by the way, coming up on how to do these complex landing gear so that they all, line up right and whatnot. So stay tuned for that one of these days soon. Here's part of the bulkhead, the oxygen tanks. You've got two different control panels. One is engraved, and you can paint that, or you can put the decal on this one. Ain't going to matter either way. You're not going to see them once you assemble it. So, just so you know. And here's the seats, and the control sticks, and the rest of the refueling boom, which doesn't fit great usually on these kits. But I'll tell you what, these do build into beautiful, what I consider to be a very beautiful bird. These KC-135s, and since I live right like a mile from the National Guard base here, every once in a while we'll hear some big booming engines, and I'll step outside and there's a KC-135R model taking off to go fuel somebody locally here. So here's your galley area, restroom, just some other parts of the interior, your gear doors, another an alternate top for your tail. Here's your landing gear doors and the front part of your fuselage. Cargo door and your wheels, which are two-piece. Okay, here's the wings, the wing halves. Okay, and the engraving on these is really, really good. It's hard to see, but the engraving on these are great. It's just the fit that leaves a lot to be desired. But I've seen worse. I've built MPC car kits, so I can easily do this. It's a terrible thing to say, but it's so true. So here's your cockpit glass, and it has its console above there. Again, you're not going to see that. And then all these other different little lights and windows. Here's the flight deck / cargo deck. Runs the length of it. And if you have the cargo door open, then of course you will see some of this. Here's your toilet molded in, and your sink. So kind of interesting. Now for the fun part, the part that makes this what it is. I'll put these back real quick. Okay. I think AMT was smart to do it this way. They give you all of these other parts, which are basically the same no matter which model you build, but then you've got different engines for different models. You got the A model, the E model, and the R model. So here you go. Engines, nacelles, your fans, and they don't go together too bad. But probably a couple of little minor filling, we'll see, on this kit. They kind of vary from kit to kit, honestly. I've had some of these that don't fit very good at all, and some that fit pretty good. We'll see how these engines fit when I get to them. There's two of those. That's it for the plastic. Now, let's go to the decals. And you do have a very nice decal set. And looks like you got two different aircraft you can do. Great. Why for and how come do I have... What's this? This must be painting? Yeah. Cool. Here's the decal and painting instructions. A beautiful plane. And it gives you the color call-outs, 36081. And then the 16473 for the bottom. And where to paint things, where to put your decals on at. And side views here. So... I've never had a problem with the AMT Ertl instructions. I've always liked them. because they're pretty clear and concise. And they do keep it simple. Okay, so here's building the engines, your wheels, your tailplanes, your interior, which if you're not going to have that cargo door open is pretty much a waste of time. You got step 8 and 9, which is your interior. Step 10, which you won't see hardly any of that. 11, putting the wing spar on. 12, putting the boom together. 13 and 14. And then here you go, putting some pennies. 20 grams of weight, approximately 7 pennies in the front of the fuselage for weight. That's good. Putting on your APU exhaust port, and then putting your wings on. And this is always a tricky part here. Usually here you've got some issues. I've had to shim this up before, but you'll see when we build it that how it turns out and what we wind up having to do. Some, like I said, some are worse than others as far as these AMT kits. Anyway, finishing up your landing gear and then getting your wings on, cargo door, gear doors, and accommodation ladder, tail support. So I can tell you from experience, these build pretty quickly. There is going to be fit issues no matter what. If you have one of these in your stash, there will be some fit issues you will have to deal with, but it shouldn't be too terribly difficult. So I'm looking forward to actually getting this one built. As you know, I've got the EC-135V here somewhere that's partially built. I've got a KC-135A that's partially built, and I've got an AWACS that's partially built. So someday I will get these finished, and I will get this one done as well, and I'll bring you along when I do it. So thanks for joining us today, folks, and we will see you next week on The Stash.